Hello, my name is Álvaro Regalado, and I'll be exposing the chapter 6, which is affective factors. First of all, we need to say what affective factors are. And these affective factors, what they need to do, what they have to deal with the second language acquisition is a very important thing. These factors are more like in the psychological field, and these are like the most important factors of the second language acquisition and also in the English teaching. Why? Because they involve so many psychological traits such as mood, feelings, self esteem, attitude, anxiety, and also like this inner self confidence and motivation. These are decisive because they need to deal so much. They're linked, they're hooked with the input and output on a second language. So we must say that if you have low self confidence, like you're shy or you're introverted, it will be reflected on how fast and how good you will deal with the production part mostly, which is the output, like writing. And most important thing is expressing yourself or expressing your ideas. So now let's talk about the affected domain. I'll be very clear and reduce the amount of information because it's a lot. And we must say that the affected domain is an emotional part. It's like the area that identifies all the mentalities and quality, which involves the student and their psychological or emotional traits towards to the learners or the teachers. Is a very, very important trait. Why? Because it allows the student to feel more comfortable with the learner and the teachers and also with the language itself. So it has several, let's say, steps that we can name. First of all, is emotional development that begins with receiving. The way you receive from your teachers or from the professor, and then we have what it is the response. We respond committing ourselves towards a object or a person, etc. Then we have the valuing, the way you see yourself, the way you have this perception to yourself. It also is involved within the perception. The self-esteem is a way that we have to value in ourselves. We have also the organization, like we determine relationship and the way we establish a hierarchy of these values. And finally, we have the self-identity. The self-identity is the most important trait of them all. It needs time for us to work on it because our, let's say, our self-identity is what we are, is what we tend to say and do and project ourselves. Like, for example, if your self identity is as like a very good student, a very nice person, relaxed, etc., it will show, it will shine through you, and that's the way people will understand, and you will have like this type of relationship with not your peers with the same qualities as you, but the peers that might see you like as a leader, like as someone to follow to. Then we have what we call willingness to communicate. This one is very fascinating because the willingness to communicate is like the intention that we have to speak or to remain silent. Like, it's totally your choice. However, this willingness to communicate is very important when we're kind of trying to construct a dialogue and the way we need to express ourselves. And it incites a reflection from you, from the inside to the outside, so you can have, let's say, like a trait, a specific trait that is going to be suitable for you. um, we also have that the willingness to communicate, it emerges from the student. So either, even if you have like a introverted self-conscious personality, you will still able to have the need of communicating or remaining silent for several aspects. And after this one, we have what we call inhibition. Inhibition in second language acquisition is like a like an amalgamation of situations that are going to create like a barrier or obstacle. And these obstacles are mostly like referring on the way we deal with other people. For example, we might have fear to speaking with strangers. So when we have like this perception that we are not like good enough, but we feel like we're not that good to produce to have a conversation with, for example, a native speaker, we tend to close ourselves, to put a barrier. And sometimes we are expecting it to be easy, which is not, because language is so intricate by itself. So we have this loss of motivation as well. For example, when we go to another place and we can go to, let's say, London, and we tend to see that people from London have a different accent of what we're used to. So we feel like we don't have the motivation to speak, to be friendly with people, because we will be like afraid that we will not understand what they're saying. And finally, I will like finish this all talking about empathy. In second language acquisition, we can say that empathy is a way that you can put yourself in the shoes of somebody else. In second language acquisition is very important because if we have a certain level of language and we try to have a conversation with somebody else who's not really having like that level that you have, you need to have this empathetic approach to them. So if there's somebody who has a thick accent and is from, for example, Israel or China or another place that the accent is very problematic for there to speak, you need to be aware and need to be empathetic with them, like speaking slow so they can better understand. And this was all that I have to offer about these aspects on the second language acquisition.